Fortnight is the perfect first single choice from the Tortured Poets department, and there are several reasons as to why. It functions tremendously well as the first song on the album, and for an album that went #1 in nearly every single country that it was released in, no other song in the Tortured Poets department introduces the themes and overarching message in the same way that Fortnight does. Whether fans agree with her all the time or not is another story, but Taylor's actually pretty good at choosing her first singles. Yes, that includes Cardigan, and yes, that includes Me. But those two songs are for different videos. Right now, we're talking about Fortnight. The accompanying music video is also everything that it needs to be in order to serve its main purpose. When selecting a song to be your first single from an album, typically speaking, you don't want to give all the goods away, but you want to give something that is hooky enough to draw people in. In the world of pop music, yes, that means you want something catchy, but it doesn't technically have to be your catchiest song. People hate the song Me because they view it as cringy, but it actually sets the tone of the entire album. The majority of the Lover album is very happy and bright. Cardigan very much establishes the tone of folklore by giving something that's a little bit radio friendly but places a major emphasis on storytelling. And Fortnight, as Taylor put it herself, is very fatalistic. It's dramatic, and it's supposed to be, which is primarily how the rest of the Tortured Poets department functions in terms of how its storytelling is presented. Fortnight is, yes, a mid-tempo bop, but the tone of her voice matters. She does not sing on this song all happy or sad. It is very monotonal. For example, if you were to play You're Losing Me and then play Fortnight right afterward, you would instantly sense a time jump. Fortnight is all about waking up in a future where you are no longer with the person that you loved very deeply, and even though both of you have moved on, you're not over it. I was supposed to be sent away, but they forgot to come and get me. I was a functioning alcoholic till nobody noticed my new aesthetic. All of this to say, I hope you're okay, but you're the reason and no one here's to blame, but what about your quiet treason? The first verse is basically establishing that Taylor, as the protagonist in her music, is unhappy with where she is at this point in her life in the context of this song. The second part of this verse progresses the story along and establishes that Taylor doesn't necessarily wish this guy ill will, but there is a teeny tiny part of her that resents him leaving. The easiest way to read into the last line, but what about your quiet treason, is, oh, there was some scandal that remained quiet that nobody knows about. But it's a little bit more than that when you listen to her tone. It's monotonal with undertones of resentment. But what about your quiet treason? She resents him leaving. And she's establishing that again, no one here's to blame, things just happen, but I'm not happy about it. The protagonist in the chorus then establishes that both of them have moved on and they're friendly when they see each other, but it still sucks. And that jealousy pops out when she says, your wife waters flowers, I want to kill her. Her tone changes on I want to kill her. Everything else is very monotonal. She amplifies that monotonal style by using a special songwriting technique where all of the lyrics kind of blend together when you hear it for the first time, except the space between flowers and I want to kill her. The lyric when you read it is, and for a fortnight there, we were forever. Run into you sometimes, ask about the weather. Now you're in my backyard, turned into good neighbors. Your wife waters flowers, I want to kill her. But the way it's sung is, and for a fortnight there we were forever. Run into you sometimes, ask about the weather. Now you're in my backyard, turned into good neighbors. Your wife waters flowers, I wanna kill her. That sort of run-on sentence style is intentional. The lyrics basically go on to describe how unhappy Taylor is as the protagonist in this song. Regardless of who she's married to, regardless of who she's with, she hates seeing this guy happy because she's still miserable. All my mornings are Mondays stuck in an endless February. Everyone hates Mondays for the most part, right? Morning is obviously the beginning of the day, and February is the shortest month, but it's just before spring. And because, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere, it's the last month before winter, February tends to carry a lot of bored emotions. People want spring to come. They want to see the sun. So she's saying she's stuck in that permanent cycle of never getting to spring, never getting that happy moment. It's stuck in this permanent Monday of just not ever moving on. I took the miracle move on drug, the effects were temporary. That basically says the same thing. She can't move on. I love you, it's ruining my life. She hates her husband. Like, it's pretty well established that she's not happy. The lyric, I love you, it's ruining my life, replays over and over again because that's what's circling in her head. I'm still in love with you and I can't move on. When Post Malone finally really enters the chat toward the end of the song, it can be kind of inferred that maybe the guy still feels the same way as well. But both of them are stuck in this perpetual cycle of never rekindling that flame. And this echoing outro basically says that no matter what either one of us do, it will never compare to whatever we had, which is basically the tone of the rest of the album. The Tortured Poets Department is melancholy, it's moody, it's dramatic, it's exaggerated, and it's that way to tell a broader story about emotions and grief. But whereas each song takes you back to a specific moment, Fortnight takes place in the future, or at least a grayscale version of the future she imagined for this song, which is part of the reason the aesthetic for the album, ignoring the variants, is either sepia toned or black and white. The music video sees Taylor in an asylum known as the Tortured Poets Department. And as she put it herself, nearly every corner of this record has a tie to another song, because this collection of songs take place into the Tortured Poets Department, which is why the album is called the Tortured Poets Department. In the opening sequence, she's dressed like Clara, who unfortunately was in an asylum at one point. Even if it's handcuffed, I'm leaving here with you from I'm Gonna Get You Back. She takes the miracle move-on drug, the Forget Him pills. It can also be an allusion to I Can Do It With a Broken Heart. We also have this scene where she reveals Post Malone's tattoos on her face, which is symbolic of them always being connected. He's left a mark on her that only she can see. She enters a card catalog room with an 1800s dress, obviously a reference to I Hate It Here, but she's wearing black instead of white. And if you look at everything she and Post Malone are writing, all of this is I love you, it's ruining my life, over and over and over again, revealing that both of them are unhappy and how they'll always be connected. We obviously have the story of us and this silhouette from the Style music video, but again, it's black and white. Black can symbolize mourning. The color white can symbolically mean honesty. I mean, who are we to fight the alchemy? You know what I'm saying? In the chaos, there's still them. Then we see her in a room literally being examined and tortured by men. We've also got the black dog for the black dog. We have a man at the master controls controlling her masters. Her heartbeat reads, I love you, it's ruining my life. I love you, it's ruining my life. And then we have a scene that can be interpreted as being so close but so far apart. And she's angry. All she can think about is how being in love with this person ruined her life. And she's quote unquote viewed as being insane for that. This scene, while the words around her are being burned, is her sad. But it's not outwardly sad, it's monotonal, I don't know what to do. And the only thing that basically wakes her up is them almost touching. And whether it's a direct Easter egg or a symbolic one, all of those themes are present on the rest of the album, including the anthology. In terms of emotional range, Fortnight is the most neutral, except it's not because there's nuance. Like how there is nuance on every single song on the Tortured Poets Department. It's no secret that there was a ton of build-up for this album. I mean, there's a reason it sold 2.6 million copies here in the US alone. And if you're essentially going to introduce your entire record to everyone all at once, is by choosing the song that literally leads the album. To showcase the themes present on the rest of the album, is catchy enough for people to pay attention, but doesn't necessarily give away all of the bops and beautiful ballads away at the same time. And no other song does that better than Fortnight. Every song on the Tortured Poets Department pulls you into a very specific moment in Taylor's life, but Fortnight pulls you into a very specific time period that Taylor found herself in, which is exactly why it is the first song on the album and the first single, but not the title track. That is for a different video.